Hey, it's Will here from HairGuard. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever thought about using Minoxidil? Have you used it in the past and now you've stopped? Or maybe you're using it now, but you're not getting the results that you want. If you answered yes to any of these questions, then this video is for you. I'm going to go through the 7 biggest mistakes people make when they use Minoxidil. So after going through this video, you'll have a better idea of how to use it more effectively and also more cost effectively. So Minoxidil is a topical medication and it can get messy at times. It also requires several minutes of your time every single day. And it can make your hair look greasy and sticky, as well as making your scalp itchy. Using it may even require making some modifications to your daily routine. For example, decisions like when to shower or when to leave the house may be affected by using Minoxidil. Because of these issues and more, Minoxidil has a very high discontinuation rate. So in other words, the large majority of users will simply stop using it. And typically this happens pretty quickly after only a few weeks after they start. A recent study found that 86% of people who started using it stopped within 5 years. But this is probably even a conservative estimate. An earlier study found a 5-year discontinuation rate of 99.9%, meaning less than 1 in 1,000 people who started using it were still using it 5 years later. Fully 95% had dropped out within the first 12 months. So straight up, if you want to get the most out of this drug, then the first thing you want to do is make sure you beat the odds in terms of using it. That you don't just join the vast majority of people who started using Minoxidil and then pretty quickly stopped without even giving it a fair chance. Often because they made one or more of the following 7 mistakes, and especially the last 3 mistakes that I'll mention in this video. So let's get into it. Number 1, applying it to the whole head. Minimizing the hassle of daily Minoxidil involves not making any unnecessary effort. And Minoxidil only works up to a certain degree, a certain dosage, and in certain parts of the head. Anything above and beyond that is just a waste of your time. It will only make you lose patience and discontinue the treatment quicker. And one of the worst things you can do is use Minoxidil all over your head. This is a waste of time and money, because Minoxidil only works on areas that are currently balding. It doesn't work on completely healthy parts of the head and not on parts of the head that have gone completely bald already. Only on parts of the head that are in the process of balding, where the hair has thinned but there is still some hair left, right? This will usually be the crown, in the back of the head and the top frontal areas, right? So if you want to target the entire head, by all means, you can do it. Just realize this will be in the form of another treatment that you have to add to your Minoxidil stack, whether that be something like scalp massages, finasteride, or whatever it is. You can't just use Minoxidil alone if you want to target the entire head. So Minoxidil per se is only really for areas that are actively in the process of balding. Okay, number 2, having unrealistic expectations. The second major mistake is not being realistic about what Minoxidil can do. Minoxidil is a treatment, but not a cure for hair loss in any sense of the word. It will not restore your full head of hair unless you start using it literally within a few months of the first signs of hair loss, which very few people do. As a matter of fact, around half of users will see no results whatsoever. Their hair loss will continue more or less unaffected by the Minoxidil usage. The rest can expect their hair loss to stop, and around 40% will see some regrowth and thickening, which brings me to my next point. Number 3, stopping the treatment prematurely. There is one way to determine if you are the lucky half of the users who will respond to the treatment. And that is allow at least a minimum of 3 months to go by. Before the 3-month mark, it's not really possible to determine if the treatment is having an effect or not. In many cases, you'll actually see a deterioration a few weeks into the treatment. So in other words, you will start to lose more hair at an increased rate when you start minoxidil treatment. This is actually a sign that minoxidil could be working, that it's stimulating old hairs to drop off and give way to new, stronger hairs. It's called the shedding phase. Sadly, many guys and girls will quit 4 to 5 weeks into the treatment on account of this shedding phase. So I think a good plan is this: start the treatment and commit to yourself that you'll continue with 3 months of minoxidil at a minimum, regardless of what your hair looks like in the meantime. The only exception, of course, is if you start developing side effects, in which case you should go and consult a doctor immediately. Okay, so moving on. Number 4, establishing a baseline. As we said, even in the best of cases, minoxidil will typically only give subtle regrowth. It's not going to have an effect that will immediately stick out to the naked eye. For this reason, it's important to establish a solid baseline. In other words, to take a series of carefully prepared, well-lit photographs of your scalp and balding areas. The photographs should be from various angles, and you should make a note of the lighting that you used, the settings on the camera, as well as where exactly you placed it. This will allow you to take similarly matched photos at the 3-month mark and compare apples with apples, as it were. It's this kind of preparation that will only take half an hour of your time or less, but at the 3-month mark, it will allow you to make a fully educated decision as to whether it's worth continuing the treatment. Number 5, microneedling. So now we're getting to the really good stuff, starting with the best of them all, microneedling. If you decide to start minoxidil, it's simply not rationale to not add a weekly microneedling session to the treatment. So I'm assuming here that you're already familiar with microneedling. If not, you can go and check out the introductory video that I've linked to in the description. So here's the deal. Microneedling is not FDA approved, and the makers of minoxidil will never recommend you microneedle on the side. But we know from a wealth of studies that one microneedling session a week will multiply the effects of minoxidil. Across multiple published studies, the average regrowth you get from minoxidil 5%, which is the strongest version, is 15 hairs per centimeter squared. But combining daily minoxidil with a weekly microneedling session gives you an average of 50 hairs per centimeter squared. Yep, you heard that right. Just one microneedling session a week can boost minoxidil's effectiveness by an average of 3.3 times, with hardly any extra effort. That's just once a week. Instead of applying the minoxidil, just do a microneedling session instead, and that's it. Microneedling is such a powerful treatment that it can even give regrowth on its own without minoxidil. The video that we made on this topic a couple of years ago has close to 1 million views on it now, and I've also linked to that video in the description. So combine minoxidil with dermal rolling and you have the single most powerful hair loss treatment that we know about. It's better than finasteride, dutasteride, or any other systemic or topical treatment when you combine those two together. Number 6, not combining minoxidil with a scalp brush. A scalp brush is a basic but irreplaceable piece of kit. Combining minoxidil with the brush will allow you to absorb the liquid better into the scalp. At the same time, the brush will gently stimulate the scalp and boost blood circulation. Not to mention, it will also help you effectively remove dandruff and other dead cells. Best of all, it's super relaxing and enjoyable to use. If you haven't already ordered yours, just head over to hairguard.com and we'll ship you out a free one. You just got to pay the shipping and handling. Number 7, using a basic version of the topical. Okay, here's the deal with minoxidil. It's ancient. The FDA approved it for hair loss in the 1980s, but it was actually developed in the 1950s. If you're using a standard off-the-shelf minoxidil solution, be it 2% or 5%, you're basically using technology that is more than half a century old. So obviously you can be doing a lot better than that. For example, we mentioned that adding microneedling to your minoxidil solution will multiply the treatment's effectiveness. This has only been discovered in the last 15 years or so, but you can also dramatically improve what's in the bottle itself. We now have a wealth of studies documenting the effectiveness of other topical stimulants, many of which are non-pharmaceutical, things like caffeine, adenosine, and azelaic acid. Adding these to your active ingredients to the solution will work synergistically with the minoxidil base, so it will dramatically improve the efficacy and help you beat the dismal odds and the stats that we discussed at the beginning of this video. Just to give you an idea, a 2011 study found that daily application of caffeine lotion improved hair loss in 83% of men with AGA. That's caffeine on its own without even adding minoxidil. And there's no need to be preparing these formulations yourself. We have our very own Microneedling topical stimulant containing all the most powerful topical stimulants in one bottle. So it's like minoxidil, but with maximum power. And you can learn more about it at hairguard.com. So guys, that's it for this video. If this was helpful, please like and subscribe, and leave a comment about what topic you want me to cover next. So I'll see you in the next video.